Hey everybody, Chris King here, and man, I just finished watching the whopping 2.5 hours of the Prince Sign of the Times concert video from December 31st, 1987. It's a New Year's Eve show that the Prince estate just put out. I'm going to give you all of my thoughts on it right now. First things first, this is not in high definition. My TV was running it at 480p, and about halfway through the concert, it froze up. The feed I was watching through YouTube froze up on my TV at home, so I had to switch over and watch it on my iPhone, and it looked a lot better. It looks a lot sharper when it's smaller like that, but it's definitely in standard definition. The lighting is not up to today's standards for what a concert would be, with a lot of flashing lights and stuff like that. The scenes didn't really change very much. But if you're interested in a straight up funk show from one of the hottest bands that Prince ever had, this is the one you gotta see. It's really, really good. And I was happily surprised because, having seen the concert movie film of Sign of the Times, I suspected wrongly that it was going to be that, except played out live without any edits or anything. But lucky for me, I didn't log on to setlist.com beforehand to find out what the set was going to be, assuming it's on setlist.com, which is a great resource for live music fans looking for the set list of your favorite band. But this was really, I mean, it was very Sign of the Times heavy. Lacking some of the favorite hits off that album. Okay, hits is a strong word, but some of the favorites off of that album. But it was also very heavy in his other catalog, Purple Rain, 1999 stuff. So it was great to watch. A long jam session at the end with some surprise guests and all that. So it starts off like it should, with the ball, the crystal ball, maybe an allusion to the fact that we were supposed to have a triple album called Crystal Ball that didn't manifest itself for another 10 years. So the ball starts off, and we go directly into Sign of the Times, which is not the best live performance song. We've seen him do it at an awards show, and it just, on stage, it doesn't have a whole lot of oomph to it. Goes directly into Play in the Sunshine, which is a great, playful, whole band gets involved number. Runs into Little Red Corvette in the middle of that, and then back into Play in the Sunshine. From there, we go into my first big surprise of the night, is that we hear Erotic City done. That was certainly played on some dates. Was that on the Purple Rain tour? I think it was. Maybe it wasn't. I know it was the B-side for Let's Go Crazy. Can't remember if it was played on the tour or not. But I was happy to hear it and see it live. That's when we get an introduction in this to Cat. While it is a Sheila E. song, Erotic City is a Prince Sheila E. number. Sheila is banging away on the big kit, which is exciting to see her on a full drum kit in the back, hitting all the skins. From there, we go into Housequake, which that video for that was released in advance of this concert. Great live performance. If you know Housequake, you know it's a great song. I used to DJ back in college, and that would always pack the floor back when it was popular, back in the day. Then we're going to hit some slow numbers. First, we're going to go into Slow Love, and I've got to say, of all of the Prince slow jams, and really out of his entire repertoire, one of my least favorite numbers. Not a big fan of Slow Love. Then we hit Adore into Do Me Baby, or maybe it was Do Me Baby into Adore. One or the other. Both of those numbers come up. Adore being one of the classic pieces, really showcases his vocals on Sign of the Times. Just a great number live. Then we have the ultimate guitar rock song off of the Sign of the Times album. It's I Could Never Take the Place of Your Man. There's a long jam, there's a long guitar solo on it. Sounds awesome. And really throughout, I'll say that holding a screwdriver for some reason. I don't know. Props. Uh, really throughout, his vocals sound tremendous on this whole 2.5 hours. He's just really dialed in. It sounds great. I'll Never Take a Place of Your Man, it goes into Let's Pretend We're Married, Delirious, Jack You Off, and really getting to hear some of the songs that really later he didn't play live at all. I mean, I don't think he touched Let's Pretend We're Married again very much after 1990. Jack You Off, I'm assuming the same. All real great live sets. The band was huge, but boy, they were tight. And he references how tight they are throughout and into the end of the set. But keep up with me, because we're not even halfway through the 2.5 hour performance. So then we jump from Jack You Off into Hot Thing, which started off, sounded great. The keyboard intro sounded awesome. And then my YouTube froze up. So I waited and waited and waited. I started getting impatient, and I would hit the button, but I didn't want it to start me over at the first. So I was patient for a couple of minutes, and then I dialed it up on my phone. And I watched the rest of Hot Thing. And then we go into one of the great numbers off of Sign of the Times, If I Was Your Girlfriend. And man, I'll tell you, just the entirety of that number is so well done. The movements of the band members on stage, Prince at the height of his vocals, man, it just sounds good. And you know, it's that Camille. If you're not familiar, Prince has this alter ego, Camille, and it's certainly a Camille number, and he just kills it. Please, I mean, you know, I love it. If I'm not mistaken, next in line is Let's Go Crazy, which starts off with a real swinging vibe to it, because the horns are super prevalent throughout this concert. So less of a rock band, more of a funk band, and in some areas it's really swinging. And that's how Let's Go Crazy starts off, but then it veers into Hendrix country as we catch a solid guitar solo in the middle of the number, and then another one on the outro that everybody knows, the end of Let's Go Crazy, and how he's just wailing on that guitar and how it sounds so good. Then we hit When Doves Cry, and that's going to lead us into what sounds like Purple Rain, but actually becomes Auld Lang Syne. And you realize this is probably hitting the midnight hour of this concert, as we have several verses of Prince not knowing the words to Auld Lang Syne, copping to the fact that he doesn't know the words, but still making a solid effort. You know, it's great, because being in the live music business, seeing a lot of shows, producing a lot of shows, there were moments of feedback in this. You know, real loud, sharp feedback noise through a couple of numbers, through a couple of parts. And, you know, you see it. You see it in live performance. It's not all perfect. And so it was good to see it not be completely perfect when Prince is playing in his own house at Paisley Park. And to top it all off, in a situation that I've totally been in before, it's time to drop for the big balloon drop. And you see him pulling and pulling and pulling on the rope, and the assistant comes out and they're pulling on the rope, and the balloons just aren't dropping. And then finally they rip the rope off of the balloon drop, and the balloons never drop. They never drop. This happened to Prince. The balloons didn't drop. But he's cool, man. He runs over and there's an arch over to the side stage in the wings, and he's trying to get them to drop, and they're not dropping, but he's a good sport about it. And it's a lot of fun to watch. And it's really surprising to me. The key was a little off, but they made the transition, how they dropped from Auld Lang Syne back into Purple Rain and play us out on Purple Rain, which you would normally think would be the end of the event. Aha! Unless you've seen Prince. And that's when we go into 1999. And it's a party, man. And everybody's partying and having a good time. You know, Paisley Park's a dry place. They're not partying that hard. They're probably having pancakes after this party's over. I'll tell you that much. They're loving 1999. The crowd's going crazy. Prince makes a reference at one point to the crowd giving him a hard time, making him work for it. And he says, He says something like, you guys expect a lot for $200, which is interesting that people paid $200 in 1987 to see this New Year's Eve show, which now people would pay thousands of dollars to see if it was even possible for it to happen. From 1999, we go into You Got the Look, which I think was the biggest hit off of Sign of the Times. Sheena Easton, not there. The vocals look like they're being covered by Kat and Sheila E. together, but it sounds like Sheena's track is also in the mix. I could be wrong. I'm not saying that they were pulling any funny business because people are definitely singing, but I feel like you can hear Sheena in the mix somewhere. And that leads us to, if I haven't forgotten anything, except I forgot to mention, the harmony vocals on When Doves Cry were out of sight. It sounded so good. That brings us to the big live number that's on the Sign of the Times album. It's Gonna Be a Beautiful Night. And this jam felt like it lasted 30 or 40 minutes. I mean, it was the big, long end piece of the whole concert. He brings Miles Davis up on stage and does a little back and forth with him, which reminded me a lot of, I'm not joking, it reminded me of two aliens communicating with one another in a language that we cannot understand. If you've seen Sesame Street, and you have the two little aliens that hear the telephone, and they're like, brrring, 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 and they're communicating with the telephone. That's what it reminded me of, in the most respectful, loving, it sounded awesome kind of way. But these guys blow my mind anytime I listen to their music. So that's why I equate it to two aliens communicating, whatever. That's my own take on it. In the middle of Gonna Be a Beautiful Night, they let Bonnie Boyer break into, I think it was Chain of Fools. I didn't write it down, but I'm pretty sure Prince gives her the cue and they go straight into Chain of Fools. All in all, totally worth my 2.5 hours. It's been forever since I've seen a full new live concert of Prince, and what I do know is the estate has some high definition footage of a lot of concerts. I mean, a lot of stuff. And I hope that they continue to release this more frequently, even as the fan base is getting older and we are ready to see it. That is my wrap up of Prince Sign of the Times, December 31st, 1987. Live concert, man. It was awesome. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Thanks for tuning in to my Love Live Music channel. If you dig what you hear and dig what you see, hit the subscribe button and let's do it some more. Thanks. Hope to see you at a show.